Welcome to the Fintech Diversity Radar's Female Founders Series by Findexable. My name is Linda Say, and I'm your host for today. In this series, we're talking to amazing female leaders in fintech around the world about the issue of gender diversity and what it takes for these women, all women, to succeed, to thrive, and to get ahead in a very male-dominated world. And today I'm super excited to be speaking with Hilda Moraa, who's the founder and CEO of Pezesha, based in Nairobi, Kenya. Hilda, we haven't met until today, but I've had you on my radar for some time because I'm very, very intrigued with fintech and innovation in Africa. So I've had you on my radar, and your star is definitely rising. I know that you're an award-winning author at a very young age. I know that you're a serial entrepreneur, and both of those accomplishments in themselves are quite amazing. So congrats on that, not an easy task. I also like to give accolades because why not? You deserve them. You've done such amazing work. So I'm going to read this off so I don't mess it up. But I understand that you were featured as a 40 under 40 woman in 2015. A top 30 innovator in Africa in 2018, selected to be part of the Obama Leaders Program in 2019, one of 50 of Africa's most promising innovators for the work that you've done or that you're doing with Pezesha, and we'll talk more about that. And then last year, just recently, you were on the advisory committee for COVID-19, I guess battling COVID-19 for Kenya. So I hope I got all that right, but that is amazing, Hilda. You are obviously a very busy lady, and congrats on all of that. And welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here and talk about our story, my story, the African story. As a female founder, as a female CEO in the fintech space, I'm glad to be part of this conversation today. Thank you very much.
So tell me about Pezesha. So what is the idea behind it? What are the problems that it solves? Tell me all about it.
Oh, great. So Pezesha is a Swahili word, at least for the people who are going to be watching this or listening to this who are not in Kenya. So Pezesha is a Swahili word that means capital enabler, combined with so many words. So money and enable. And that's how we came up with the word. And the inspiration behind our brand identity, really to enable capital to underserved and excluded communities, and in these cases being women businesses and also underserved small businesses in Africa. And so what we've done for the last 4.5 years is we've built a digital lending infrastructure and marketplace that allows us to be able to facilitate this enablement of credit to small businesses who are looking for working capital. So basically how we do it is we take a collaborative approach where we partner with other players in the market who are already working with these SMEs. And on the other side, of course, capital providers who are looking for a purposeful way and a productive way to drive credit. And so when we bring these parties together with our platform and infrastructure, we're able to create a network effect that allows them to access capital. And in the end, of course, benefiting everyone in the value chain and bringing prosperity on the table.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing. So I think a couple of things are running through my head as you're telling me this. So I think, especially with the pandemic, I think we've seen how important it is to bring financial enablement to those that are underserved and not able to have their dreams come true. And there's so many people that have amazing ideas, so I love that idea. And especially during this pandemic time, which has set women especially back so many years, in getting ahead. I think that's super, that's amazing. So it sounds to me, in my interpretation, then it's like a marketplace where those that are looking for capital or lending, money, can meet with investors, those that are interested in providing the means for that. And is it on a platform where they go and they kind of search each other out? Kind of explain that a little bit for me.
Yeah, so the way it works is really a very cross-platform approach. So we don't not only provide that flexibility for people to and when I talk about people, I mean institutional capital providers to be
Right,
able to go in into our marketplace and see the borrowers, but we take more of a you know a diverse approach. And at the same time, we do all the work. We do all the work on our platform. What I mean by that is we're the ones who are originating these SMEs. We're the ones who are, making sure that they're credit worthy. We do the credit scoring through our credit scoring product called Patascore. And
yeah,
then we then vet these businesses, prepare them by financial education, where we educate
right,
them, how to make sure that whatever credit they take is responsible and it's productive for their business. And of
right.
course, in the end, once we complete this process, is when we put them in the marketplace. Now,
Got
when
it.
we put them in the marketplace, we're then able to match the right capital to their businesses. So we facilitate that capital on behalf of the investors. And we are able to make the right decisions for them, of course, understanding their risk appetite, understanding the way they would like their portfolio to be diverse. And so
Right.
we then provide that expertise in terms of, how to match their wealth with the right SMEs, and on the other side, make sure that they're lending to quality SMEs. So our platform sits in between to
Right.
facilitate the entire relationship, both from a demand and a supply point of view. In the end, you just sit down and relax. And as an investor, you're getting solid returns. As an SME, your business is growing and everyone wins in the value chain.
Wow. I love that idea. And I love because I think, on both sides, it can be a little bit daunting, right? If you are the entrepreneur, to want to get out there and put your feet into the water, so to speak, and where do you start, and how do you go about, how much do you
Exactly.
want capital and all of that. So you're educating them and really providing a framework for them, some guardrails. And on the other side, you've got, people that are interested in investing, some of which may not, fully understand that world either. So I love that you're kind of vetting for both, but then matchmaking is it's, to me, it sounds like an incredible idea.
No, absolutely. And we also, we not only just provide the financial education from the SME side, we also provide it from the investor side. So as
Yeah,
you rightly said, a lot of the investors want to invest in these SMEs. They don't know where to start. These SMEs are not the typical SMEs that would go to a bank and they
right,
have collateral, they have formal structures. No, we're working with, small and medium businesses that, we are also streamlining their world. We are bringing a lot of efficiencies, and so there's quite a lot of work we have to do before we even bring them on the platform, and quite a lot of automation process. And so with that, we're also able to educate the investor, about the risk, and of
right.
course how these businesses work, and really what the transparency we give them in the marketplace is really all about that, and they really appreciate it to the point of continuing to support these businesses.
Are all of the SMEs that are looking for capital in Kenya specifically, or are they across the African continent, or where are they located?
Yeah, so for Pezesha, we are now across different markets across Africa. Our focus, of
Okay.
course, is African markets.
Yes.
And just before I talk about, where we are, let me paint the opportunity and the picture to you.
Yeah, please.
This is a $328 billion financing gap market across sub-Saharan Africa, you know,
Wow.
and it's still widening, of course, as a result of also the current pandemic. We've seen this gap continues to widen. Of
Right.
course, banks have reduced their lending, even where they were providing, they were participating in this lending. We've seen that it has reduced as a result of COVID and the risk that has come with it. Now,
Right.
because then of this gap, we've continued to see, these businesses across Africa, either at this point, their cash flow or their liquidity has dried up, so they don't have anywhere else to turn to.
Right.
And so for us, we've made it an intentional decision and part of our fiduciary duty to look at markets where this need, needs to be solved as soon as possible, to continue to help these businesses to survive. And of course, in the end, also to ensure that these economies survive. And so we've been very strategic in the markets that we've penetrated as a result of this gap. And of course, Kenya is where we are headquartered. This is a $19 billion gap in Kenya, where SMEs are underserved. We are now in Ghana. Ghana is our second biggest market.
Okay.
This is more than $5 billion financing gap.
Wow.
We're now scaling in Uganda. It's almost the same as Ghana at that level in terms of the gap. But also we're looking at other markets in West Africa, like Nigeria and others in the coming months. Now that we have been able to raise, strategic growth funding to allow us to propel and scale what we have done in Kenya very successfully. Now we're taking to other markets because the problems are the same, the opportunities are the same. We now just need to leverage on the information or the data that exists to be able to score these SMEs to grow up the financial ladder.
Are all of the SMEs founded by women, or are there male founders in that group too? And what's the percentage that you're seeing?
Yeah, so that's a good question because, again, in the spirit of being intentional, we've also made an intentional decision to reach more women. And so we're talking of 60% of our customers are women and 40% are men. And for us, we've continued to find strategies to reach to these women through the way we design our products, the way we design, our marketing campaigns, and because they are the most, segments that have been completely underserved.
Yeah.
And almost completely excluded. And so we've now made it an intentional decision to reach them, even as first priority, because if we do, then we're shortening that gap, as fast as possible. And so, we've seen across all our markets, especially in Ghana, women continue to be at the top of that, gap when we are solving it. And more importantly, we've seen the impact of focusing on more women because they're able to use that money to grow their businesses even now more than ever. And now it trickles down to the rest of their households. It trickles down to the economies. It trickles down to the generations. So we've seen women being more, purposeful in the credit we give them. And we can measure that in the data that we have and how we continue to see their business grow. And of course, financial education has been one of the biggest driver to acquiring more women that we have right now.
Yes, I could see that. Absolutely. In the work that I've been doing over the last few years, that is by far probably the number one thing that comes up when women have these incredible ideas and they say, but I don't know where to start. I don't know how to get this started. That's the biggest challenge. So I love, that you're focusing on that education piece. Tell me about your investors. Are they primarily African or are they international? What's the percentage, of internationals versus those that are right there in your backyard?
Yeah, so we've been very, let me say, lucky and blessed at the same time to really attract, the right strategic investor. The work we're doing at Pezesha is not easy. We're building a fintech infrastructure. And that is hard work. You have to understand the end to end of it. You have to be able to find breakthroughs, go back to the drawing table, do it again until you crack it, all the layers of that infrastructure. Now, we in the early days, of course, we had to look for investors who understand the opportunity that we have in Pezesha, and it was so hard. And so we reached out to local angels, local investors that were very strategic in those sectors. And so we were also very lucky to meet them at the right place at the right time. And so, at the early stages, almost 80% of our capital came from the local market, local investors. And as we've continued to grow and of course, penetrate into other markets across Africa and now even, being able to reach other investors outside the local market. We have investors across Africa and also international investors as well. So we've just expanded, our investment thinking and saying, hey, how do we grow the company? And who do we need to grow the company? And there's a lot of international investors who are also part of our company that now they've also helped us to start thinking globally. you know,
Yeah,
and of course solving for the local markets at the same time. So we're
right.
very, very, very excited about, you know, the kind of investors and VCs we have now, because they also bring different perspectives in our growth. And of course, we want to build, you know, for the local market, but we want to continue to think globally. So that has been a great thing.
That's awesome. I love that. So let's talk about you and kind of where you got started. You know, you know a lot about getting capital, obviously, but what inspired you to create your own company, and how did you get capital? Where were you? When did this all happen? What was your journey like when you were starting and looking for capital yourself?
Yeah, so I've been a fintech entrepreneur for more than 10 years now.
Yeah,
And I must say, as you also alluded at the beginning, this is not my first company or my first fintech.
right,
You know, this is my second, and I have been in the space for more than 10 years, you know, seen it all, you know, made mistakes, had a lot of failures, at least in my first, and, you know, it was glad that we ended up with, you know, a successful acquisition. But still, the journey of it, or, you know, the process involves a lot of failures and a lot of mistakes in the, you know, you have to make. And I think all that, you know, that I saw and I was part of, you know, building my first fintech company was a tele, was experiences, practical experiences that have now helped me to be able to build a second fintech.
yeah,
But of course, you know, it comes with a lot of learnings and a lot of passion on the line. And so for me, with all that combined, you know, it was apparent that there's a problem. There's a problem in the market. A lot of people and a lot of companies that I interacted with in the financial services space were not really thinking of the long-term picture of it. They were not thinking of, you know, solving the end-to-end complexity of,
right,
you know, of providing credit in a much more purposeful and productive way. You know, they were more focused on consumers, and they were more focused on, hey, let's just, you know, go for the easy path. You know, lend to as many customers as possible, and that's going to be B2C. And of course, you know, make money. If they lose, you know, they decide, you know, let's pack our bags and go. And that was not our game. Our game was different as Pezesha. You know, we said, look, we cannot, you know, do this for the short term. We can't just solve for credit.
right,
We have to think about the long term. How do we bring, you know, credit in a productive manner that allows us to measure the impact it has created, how people have grown, how their businesses have grown, how prosperity has been enhanced and enabled throughout the ecosystem, and more importantly, about their financial health. So
right.
it was a lot of work to think about all those layers and pieces. And
Yeah,
for me, that's what inspired me. You know, doing the hard things is what really motivates me. And Pezesha was that hard thing that
yeah,
if we solve it, and if we solve for all these inefficiencies, and we build a very strong financial infrastructure that allows people to be included, but also for the long-term thinking, and
yeah.
and become the voice of those people, which is exactly where we sit. So this is what motivates me. This is what is challenging every day, and the reason why I wake up every day.
Yeah, and I love that. And it's so purpose driven, which is near and dear to my heart. And I think, you know, looking at this in a more holistic way with purpose and intention is
Yeah,
absolutely the way to go forward. You know, in any business, but
absolutely.
especially in fintech, this is exactly what we need, I think, right now. So when you were getting started, um, did you, was gender an issue for you? Did you feel any kind of you know, adversity there because you were a woman? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so again, in my first company, I was only 26 years old at that time.
That's
And
amazing.
you know, again, you know, at that time, you know, you're really young and green. There's a lot of despondency of, and biasness in terms of how people look at you. You know, you're 26, you should be, you know, somewhere getting more experience, not building a company. And I think for me, I could see those, you know, biasness or unconscious bias, for lack of a better term, when I walked in a room and I presented our idea, and I presented to, you know, big companies what we were trying to do. and really help them to streamline distribution. It was not easy.
Yeah.
And, in the end, they would expect, someone else to walk in and now close the deal. But I was the one who was always there to make sure that it works out up to the end of that journey, up to the end of those conversations. So you could see a lot of, questions on their faces of who is she, and
Yeah.
is she the one who is meant to be closing this deal? She knows what she's doing, but
Right.
there has to be someone who sent her here to close
Yeah.
the deal. So that for me was something I really experienced way earlier on. That said, I think over time, now that I have been able to show track record, I've been able to show, some form of success and learnings and experiences in that journey. In my second startup, and now with a lot of fintech experience, local and even across Africa, to be able to advise companies and work with companies to be able to build much more long-term and sustainable fintech solutions. And now I've been taken seriously. And I think with that, with that reputation and experience level that I have built, I can also be able to attribute it to the ecosystem maturing. Now we can see more investment. We can see, more capital flowing in. We can see more quality startups coming out. And
Yeah.
so, as a result of that, and that what I call like the serendipity effect and the network effect that has grown out of it, we can only just hope that things are going to be better, especially for women founders. Now,
Yeah.
we continue to see, that said, we continue to see, there's still areas where we need to do a much more better job, like just to give you some numbers, we still have less than 5% of women in Africa, Black founders, who are able to raise more than $1 million.
Yeah.
So that at that level, you're looking to grow the company, you're looking to scale to the next level. So what do we need to do? And my view is, possibly we need more women-led African VCs to support other women.
Yep.
Maybe we need, more success stories, fintech, especially in the fintech space, more success stories led by women.
Yep.
We've started to see a lot of acquisitions and exits, but I think they're coming. They're coming. We're going to see a lot of women who are leading, complex solutions and sectors like in the fintech space, coming out, and
Yes.
and of course making sure that they bring those stories in the map of Africa for other women to believe in themselves and have confidence, and more importantly, that will drive a ripple effect for even other investors to be interested to put in more resources in that side.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I couldn't agree more. So, and that's why we're doing this series, because the more we can shed light and share those stories of successful female entrepreneurs in fintech, no matter where on the globe you are, that just shows other women, oh my gosh, look at her, I could do this too. And then it also brings light, and validation to everything you've done for the whole ecosystem. So I think it's so important that we tell these stories and share them, to the world. So that's my goal. That's what keeps me going every day, to be able to do that. So Hilda, I want to go back to your story. And you said that, you faced challenges because you were a 26-year-old woman in the room. But I'm interested in knowing, do you think it was because you were 26 or a woman or both?
Yeah, so I think it was both. 26-year-old, young woman who is leading a company that is definitely addressing crucial but very complex issues in the financial sector. So I think it was both, and of course the way I look at things as well, as a result of a lot of influence, was the cultural aspect of things, where a lot of the people locally would be expecting a CEO of a company to be a gray-haired guy with beards or whatever. And of course, if you're going to call yourself a CEO, you have to look like it in terms of
Yeah.
your age and your maybe, your size and things like that. So,
Right.
I think that contributes a lot. And I think it's more of a mindset thing, and how the culture flows here. But I also believe that, when you start to talk, and that is also what my experience was when I started talking and starting to show that I understand what I do, and really, I'm bringing a lot of value on the table. Give us a pilot, we will show you what we can do. And
Right.
once you prove that, everyone stops talking and stops, thinking about all the things that are going on in their mind,
Right.
about this old big person or whatever. And
Right.
now it's, she can produce results, she can execute. Let's give her a chance. So,
Yeah.
I think for me, the way I never let those kind of mindset or perceptions really affect me.
Right.
And I think for me, the way I basically made it work was, just really show them that you can bring value. Let them
Yeah.
see it, let them touch it, let them appreciate it. And
Yes.
once that starts to happen, everything changes. And
Yes.
so I've been very intentional about that strategy, and I advise all the other young women facing it to try as much as possible to put that at the back of their mind. And really, once you've been given the chance, execute.
Yeah.
Put your best foot forward, have confidence in yourself, have confidence in your ability, and I can promise you it changes everything. And the only thing you just have to show or prove yourself is in the work.
Yeah, I think that's great advice for anybody, but especially for women who are trying to, get ahead and show them what they can do, and their experience. It's just really showing up and kind of putting all those unconscious biases that are kind of floating around at ease, and just proving yourself. And certainly you've done that with all the accolades that I kind of ticked off earlier. That's, you're doing it one step at a time, and just showing up and proving, yourself and your ideas. So that's really fantastic.
No, thank you. And I think one of the things that I should also mention is, I think I am the kind of person who has too much overbelief about myself. So I think it's just also important to believe in yourself before others believe in you. And, and,
Yes.
and the moment you build that inside you and let it be the drive towards the opportunities you have on the table, and it becomes natural, it just becomes part of you beyond the passion you have, is I believe in myself. I believe I can do this. So please give me the opportunity and challenge me. And then it works. So a
Yeah.
lot of the inside conversation you have to yourself as a woman, and that belief and the willpower, it is very important towards reaching to your next stage of your growth.
Absolutely. If you don't believe in yourself, who will? That's
Exactly.
basically what the advice I've given women for years now is, you've got to believe first and foremost. Did you have a mentor or a sponsor along the way that kind of helped, you know, instill that in you? Or is this just all Hilda?
No, 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 no. It's not all me. And if it was all me, I don't think, honestly, I would have been here.
Yeah.
With all the things I've done, at least my entrepreneurship journey so far has been a lot of people behind, me, helping me, coaching me, mentoring me, advising me, and a
Yeah.
very strong support system, especially locally.
Yes.
And so these are people who have seen me make mistakes. These are people who have seen me grow in my journey, and they have also provided a lot of other support on people who can be able to provide any mentorship that they might not be able to have in terms of experience, and they will
Right.
direct me to the right direction. So I think that aspect of a very strong support system, I would actually almost attribute it to 80% of what I know and what I have now,
Yeah.
because it's been really powerful to the point of you when you get the right people around you, and you get the right people backing you, and you get the right people working with you. That's all. It's 100% about people.
Yes, I couldn't agree more with that either. Or also, and I've said this before, you shouldn't have just one person in your stable, but you need many around you. It's
Absolutely.
all of those people that help to make you who you are, and help you to lift you up and support you. So, I I love that you shared that. So thank you. What's next for Pezesha? You've already talked a lot about, your scaling globally, but is there anything else you'd like to share about Pezesha and you?
Yeah, so let me first add that my mentors are both men and women, and I like that also, when I'm choosing them, just to make sure there's a diversity of perspectives.
Yes.
And really, that has also really helped me to make sure that, when I'm listening to this mentor who is in this industry, as a man and also as a woman, there's a lot of learnings you can pick from each of them, and actually it works magic. What's next for Pezesha? We are in an exciting stage of our growth. We have been able to show, great traction. We've reached more than 10,000 MSMEs.
Oh,
and,
wow.
and this is, from micro individual SMEs who do not have any formal structure to SMEs who have a formal structure, and really helping them to grow. And so that is what is exciting, to see them grow in their journey and to see them, get to the next level, whether it's on their business or even their personal life.
Yeah.
And for us, that is what we want to deepen. We want to deepen the value addition we provide to SMEs beyond credit. We want to be able to provide them with, other financial services that they need beyond also financial education. What else can we do? Can we provide them with digital tools, which is what we're doing now? Can we help them to scale? Can we be able to advise them on, how to survive and thrive during COVID?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so there's so much work to be done, to really help these businesses to grow. And so we're at the stage where we are deepening and optimizing the value that we can provide to these businesses, but also helping them to scale. Because if they scale, if they thrive, even during the current pandemic, we also thrive as a business. We also succeed. So that is where we are, and we are bringing the right people in the team, the right investors to really help us to deepen that growth. And part of what I described earlier on in terms of the financing gap, we're going for those numbers, because if we reduce that gap, we bring a lot of success in the economies, in the SMEs, and more importantly, we change Africa to be what we want it to be.
Absolutely. It's all about, in the end, it's all about the digital economy and making your neck of the woods, so to speak, the best it can be. And then spreading that out. So that's fantastic. I want to go back, Hilda, to you were saying about your sponsors, mentors being men and women. I love that. So I want to make a note to right now to the editor, if we can go back to that piece, and I'd like to prompt you on that so that you can talk about that, because that is a really important point, I think, to make sure that you are getting diversity of opinions and experience. Is that okay with you to go back to that comment?
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, and then after that, I'll just rip it up. I'll wrap it up.
No. Absolutely, that's fine. Don't worry. We can take another 10 minutes just also
Okay,
because we started late.
Yeah. And yeah, I gotta keep an eye on
And
the
we've
time.
and we've had so many internet issues. So I'm happy
Yes, we have.
to spare another airtime a bit just to conclude this conversation.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just 5 more minutes. Okay, so let's start. So Hilda, I love that you had so many different mentors and sponsors, through your journey. How many of those were men versus women?
Yeah, so I mean, it's really hard to count, but I will say, from a percentage perspective, it's been almost an equal balance. My mentors in terms of men and women. So, quite a lot of, different snippets of advice or experience you're getting from, either one party compared to the other, and then combining those, perspectives. And I think they're all valuable in themselves. And really for us, it's really just been, hey, we know this person or this woman is best in advising us how to build women products because they're a woman, because they've done it before and they have been successful in that area. So we're also very strategic in terms of how we go about it, and not so much about, how many they are, but so much about what can they bring in terms of the quality of the advice they give us. So we've identified them, and really in the end, we've seen that balance of different perspectives from both sides.
Yeah, I think it's really important. That's a really important point to make as women are going through this journey, to surround themselves with the dream team, right? Men and women that can bring their experience and lend their knowledge to this person, because it is all about diversity, right? And diversity of opinions and experiences that can make you a better person. So, I just wanted to kind of hit on that point a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
and sorry, just to add into that point, I think it's also important to emphasize that as much as we've also gotten this mentorship and support externally, we've also extended it internally in Pezesha.
yes.
So we've provided a lot of mentorship programs to our employees, to also help them to find, like the right knowledge and to bridge their skill gaps.
Yes.
And of course, it hasn't been a one size fits all. My job as a CEO is to really understand each person in our team and really make sure that we tailor make, the kind of mentorship support that we provide to them, and
Yeah.
really ensure that in the end, they can be able to look at that as part of their personal growth and even their professional growth. So there's quite a lot of that same culture we've inbuilt in the way we run things in Pezesha.
Yes, and that's so, so important. I think I quickly looked at your team and I saw a really nice balance of men and women on your team. And I thought, that's great. Good job. So,
No, thank you. Thank you. We
yeah,
have actually 50% of our team is women, and basically maybe what you've seen is not everyone, because we have a team in Ghana. We also have a team in other markets that we are looking at. So sometimes our website doesn't capture everyone in the picture.
right. Well, you're on a good start, on a good roll. So congrats on that. And I love that you're, finding ways to support and mentor your team. So that's
Thank you.
great. So Hilda, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. I know you're very busy and I know it's getting later there, and I really have enjoyed our time together. And I want to thank our audience for listening in and watching this episode of the Fintech Diversity Radar's Female Founders Series. The Fintech Diversity Radar is building the world's first data set on diversity in fintech on a global basis. And here's how you can help bridge the gender divide. If you're a fintech or a financial service provider, please take part in our survey on findexable.com. It's anonymous. It does not take very long, but the data is only as good as the information that goes in. So we need everybody to contribute. Follow us on Findexable social media platforms and be a part of the conversation. There's incredible conversations going on globally. Be a part of that and join in and tell us what you're thinking. Subscribe to the Findexable YouTube channel. And of course, as always, if you want more information, do not hesitate to reach out at info@findexable.com. Thank you, and until next time.